We decided to replace our current insulation with spray foam insulation in our attic for a couple of different reasons. Our house was built in the early 80s and it was built pretty strong, but since we've moved in and we've been here probably about 2.5, 3 years now, our electric bills were pretty high. Our air conditioning units are about 10 years old. We have one in the attic and one in the garage, both in hot areas. They hadn't been used much prior to us moving in because the house had been empty for quite a few years. So they were running pretty good and they were pretty clean inside. Not as efficient as the new models, but I mean our electric bills are coming in about $300 to $400 a month. So really high for a house that's about 2,600 square foot under air. When I looked in our attic, there is some blown-in insulation already present. It's white fluffy fiberglass and it's blown around. It's quite clumpy in some areas. Some areas are pretty heavy and some other areas are pretty bare. So I knew that was a problem. And then we just had our roof replaced about 1.5 years ago. So, you know, I thought, oh, that might help a bit. It really didn't, even though we went with a lighter color shingle. So I could have got blown in insulation up to a depth of about a foot or 16 inches. I think a foot to 16 inches. I believe it was R38 was the figure that they quoted. The cheapest quote I got was about $1,300 and something. And that's a great quote for a house this size, considering it was going to cost me nearly $1,000 to do it myself and I undergo all of that heat and work and dirt and strapping up in the suit and everything with fiberglass all over you. So I was considering that, and then I got some other quotes. I think 2,000 was the highest quote I got for the blown in. And the spray foam came in anywhere from about 6,500 to 10,000. And I decided to go with the lower quote. They're still a big company, trustworthy, good sales pitch from them, good reviews online, like what I saw the specs of the foam. And what they do is they come in and they remove all of the blown in insulation that you have on the in the ceiling, so on the attic floor. And then they spray the foam directly on the attic deck. So I have these 1x8, I think they are, boards, 1x8 or 1x10 boards, pine boards. Apparently not the best material to have. I just stuck my finger on a nail there. Not the best material to have because some of the nails can poke through the edges. Plywood apparently is the best material according to my roofer, but still in good condition. We had the roof replaced, had some of these boards replaced about 1.5 years ago. I know there's no leaks, so we're good there. But the spray foam goes on about 5.5 inches thick, so it actually covers these studs by about 2 inches nearly, I guess. And so it really fills up all these voids. And the idea is that it stops the heat from coming in right at the roof deck. So right at the roof, there's no heat coming in. It's stopped right at the source. And we live in Florida, so it's like 110, 120 sometimes outside, year round in the hundreds. So the heat is the main problem. But so the idea is that your air conditioning in your house actually seeps through the ceiling, which now won't have any blown-in insulation in, and it actually is more of a semi-air conditioned space in the attic. So my immediate thought was like, hang on a minute, so the AC is heating and cooling the house and the attic. Won't that cost more in electric bills? But apparently not. Apparently it's just residual air that comes up here, but most of the heat is kept out, or the cold is kept out of the house right at the roof line. So your AC actually works less to cool and heat the home inside. But I wanted to give you some before shots because we're about to have the insulation put in any day now, and there's a couple of preparations that we needed to do ahead of the spray foam going in. One of the things about spray foam insulation is that your roof becomes from a vented attic to a non-vented, and what that means is all of your soffits around your eaves are effectively sealed up by the foam, so no air comes in through your soffits. And then the vents you have, either whether you have a ridge vent like we do running across here, you can see it right there, that's part of it. And also these solar attic fans that we installed, they are no longer vented. So I had these solar attic fans installed before the new roof went in, and I had actually blocked up this ridge vent, because when you put in solar attic fans, you're supposed to block up the ridge vent because all of the heat gets sucked out of the solar attic fan. It didn't work, and I didn't know why it didn't work until one of the insulation suppliers, vendors, came around and told me the problem is what it was doing is it was actually sucking the air from all the cracks in the ceiling. And also we have two big house fans, which I'll show you a picture of those. There's big vents, they're about 33 inches by 33 inches, something like that, and they're not sealed very well. They're these old house vents, and we have two of them, one in each side of the house. What these solar attic fans have been doing is they've literally just been sucking the AC through those vents and out into the atmosphere, and that's why when we put the solar fans in, it was actually costing us slightly more money. One of the other things that I tried to do in addition to the solar attic fans was go ahead and locate the any air conditioning leaks in the ductwork and around the vents. What I did was I went ahead and got this handy tool from Milwaukee. It's basically a thermometer laser. In the middle of the summer, I went ahead and went around the whole roof. Took probably about an hour. I had a little can of pink spray paint with me, and I just sprayed the little areas that were showing a big difference in temperature, so the AC leaks coming through. And of course I did this while the AC was running, so I could see the cool air versus the hot attic. I used a foam product which has, I believe it's a closed cell foam, but it's specifically for patching leaks in ducts and things like that. I went ahead and did that all over. I didn't really see too much difference, but at least I have peace of mind knowing that I'm not wasting AC, a lot of AC going into the attic. I'm sure there's some normal residual parts, but I just wanted to make sure there weren't any major leaks. When we moved into the house, neither of our bathrooms, and we have two main bathrooms, had exhaust fans in them. So I installed exhaust fans, but I never ducted the vents outside to the house, so they literally just duct into the main attic space, which is fine. There's plenty of there's ventilation in here, but now it's going to become a non-vented roof. That's a no-no. We can't just have that moist bathroom air coming out into the non-vented roof. So what we're going to do is I have long extensions for the ducts, and we're going to put the roofer's going to come in and put the new vents in the roof, and then they will just connect right here. Here's the solar attic van, or at least one of them. This is Jim, a roofer from Brogden Roofing. He's in the process of taking one of the two off.
Easiest way to do it.
So what are you doing there?
Rather than try to cut over the rafter where you have to pull all those nails, and then you only get 3/4 of an inch, you cut beside the rafter, scab a 2x4 on each side, and then you got 1.5 inches and the old boards stay in place.
Okay.
It's sturdier and gives you more room to nail.
Yeah, I was wondering how you were going to do that from out here.
That's how you do it.
Alright, there's the finished effect.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Alright, cool. Looking good. This is one of two light switches for the attic. So we have a light that comes up, and I'm sitting right at the scuttle hole from the garage with the stairs leading up. We have one light on a drawstring right there to light this section of the attic, and then this light switch goes to other lights, and I have about 4 of them that extend through to the end of the attic space on the other side of the attic. During the spray foam process, they go ahead and they separate the garage, any non-air conditioned space, the garage and the front porch, from the rest of the house. So they're really trying to seal in the air conditioned space completely. And how they do this is they will build a wall right here, actually right behind here, right above where the garage wall meets the inside house wall. So that concrete block wall that separates the garage from the house, inside of the house, they'll go ahead and they'll put a thick plastic sheeting up, and they'll spray that with, again, another 5.5-inch foam, the same material that they will spray directly on the roof deck. And they'll do that all around the garage. So when you come up into the garage, you'll only be able to see the space above the garage. Thankfully, we have another scuttle hole a few feet away, about 15 feet away, in the laundry room. So I have to move this over from here over to next to the other scuttle hole as well. There was also one other electrical item that I did prior to the spray foam going in, is I wanted a couple of extra sockets in the garage, and our electrical panel wiring comes in right at where the garage wall is that separates the inside of the house and the garage. So I know that that's going to have that spray foam right on top of it, so I went ahead and fed a wire in there out to the garage and put 2 sockets in ahead of the spray foam coming in. So now I've talked about some of the preparations. Let's fast forward and check out the spray foam. So this is the first step in the removal process. This took about 2 days for them to do. One crew came in and they went basically room by room up in the attic, sucking out all of the old blown in insulation, and this gets fed all the way down from this tube down to the truck. They have these huge long bags that you'll see in a minute. After the blown in insulation is removed, the spray foam crew come in, and they take about 2 days to spray foam the attic deck. During this time, no one is allowed to occupy the home, and the doors and windows have to be left open, and for another 24 hours after they are complete as well. The spray foam only takes a couple hours to completely cure, but it's very smelly. So we left it for about 2 or 3 days to air out the house, and we continued leaving the windows open for a couple of days after that, and at that time it looked fine. So I was very happy with the final result. There's hardly any heat coming through. The inside of the house feels very different, much more insulated now, and the job looks great.